Hello, everybody. My name is Benny, and welcome to the Fool's Apprentice. Today, we are doing our deck study from the Erenburg Tarot. Hey, Kelsey,
Hi,
how are
Benny.
you doing today?
I'm good. It's good to see you again, as
Yeah,
always.
and this is the funny things, guys. We've been talking for like 15 minutes. I know how she's doing.
Yeah, I know. We should just be honest. Like, we had like a whole conversation before we hopped on here together.
So, how are you doing?
Good.
We're trying to, I'm trying to make it like we just met, but it's like
I
that's
know,
not.
but we really didn't. Yeah, we're pulling all of you, I'm sure.
Okay, so today we are going through the tower all the way to the world. How did you feel about this last section of the major arcana overall?
I mean, surprising nobody who's been watching these videos. Eh, I don't know. I actually, well, I'm just,
On I think on
I don't
mine
know.
they are.
What's that?
I think on my channel they are.
They are all or they are surprised. You're right. Because I think on my channel, those have been the ones that I'm largely like about. Um, yeah. What did you think of these? Because I want to save my like opinions for when we actually look at the cards.
Well, I'm trying to set my camera. I think overall I'm okay with them. I'm okay with them, but there were a couple of things that I felt were really important that needed to be in them. So for like the sun card, as much as that little baby freaks me out, I think that's a major part of the card that I think should have been in there. Um, and then like the moon's missing, the dog, the wolf, and uh, the crustacean.
But it has a rocket ship instead, so it's kind of the same.
Yeah, and then the star has a little spaceship. So a little off, I think, but overall, I'm happy with it. I would really love to interview the person that created this deck because I would really like to know how they made the decisions on what to keep on the image and what to remove. And then,
Yeah.
interestingly enough, in this, two major questions I have, or three, are the tower is the first card that looks like the traditional tower of all of them. There's
Yeah.
not
It's
this
not
up.
up close.
Yeah, so that was interesting. Then the child is missing, so I'd want to know why. And then the ballerina.
Well,
I
I know. I was like, why a ballerina?
so
But
I
maybe we
have an
can
idea.
like
I
maybe
have
we
an
can make sense.
idea as to why maybe. So
Yeah.
we'll discuss that when we get to that one. And you?
Yeah. Me, as far as my thoughts, you mean?
Yeah,
Um,
just overall.
Overall, probably not a deck I'm going to use
Yeah.
once we're done with our deck study. It is, and I know like this deck is loved by a lot of people, and I'm happy that people are connecting with it. I'm just not. I'm not. I don't feel connected to it. And in fact, they're like the cards today, some of them especially, like kind of freaked me out a little bit.
Yeah?
Like the faces, like
Mm.
the faces of like the faces on the star, the sun, and the
And the
moon. I
moon.
was like, what is happening? Um, it's not for me. I'm just I feel pretty confident saying this deck is not going to be for me long term, but that does not mean that I can't still learn something from it. And it doesn't mean that I don't totally respect the fact that people love it because I do. It's just not for me. And I'm confident saying that now that we're like wrapping up the majors.
Yeah.
But that being said, never say never. Like it could be that the minors completely shift my
Well,
perspective
s- so this is what I've been thinking. That this is not a deck I'm going to use either. It doesn't resonate with me, unfortunately,
on
and I
that.
really had high hopes.
Yeah.
Um, because I'm in the learning phase still, I
Mhm.
think, in my tarot journey, I think I'm missing a lot. I'm researching the deck, but I feel that I'm missing a lot. And so if I would use this in practice to read, I wouldn't get the full picture I feel that I would need.
Right. Right.
And so I'm gonna. I didn't discuss this with you beforehand, so I'm going to discuss it with you live.
Yeah,
Well, we're recording,
absolutely.
but live because I want your honest opinion. So,
Yeah.
this is what I'm thinking.
Hmm.
I don't find this deck particularly inspiring for me. I do
Hmm.
feel, because I've been really mulling this over
Yeah.
on and off, and it's just when it randomly, this thought comes up in my mind is, should we, because we ended in the with the Trumps, maybe ending here and finding another deck that both of us are inspired by, that we want to
Oh,
learn.
oh, thank God. Yes.
Yeah?
Yes. Oh, God. Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so I say
I,
we finish this
yeah,
today, and
absolutely.
then we find a deck that we're both inspired by that we would be a lot more excited that we both will end up using.
Yes. I like, and honestly, like, I wanted to be more into this one than I was.
I
Like,
know. It's such a wonderful concept.
yeah. And, but I mean, this is also part of the process too of like doing a deck study and looking at a deck and going through it is, so I tell my students this all the time because right now I'm an English teacher and I tell my students all the time, like, life is too short to read a book you don't like. Right. So like, just because you like, I let them pick, we do like novel studies in class, but then they get to pick their independent reading books. And I tell them all the time, if you start reading an independent book that you don't like, life is too short. Stop reading it, find something you enjoy. I think the same applies for me to this, right? Like, if it's not resonating with me, why am I going to why am I going to push through the pain? What's the point, right?
Yeah.
Like, when there are so many things that you and I could resonate with. And again, that is in no way like a criticism of people who love this deck because that's awesome. It's just not clicking for me or for you.
Yeah, I have a lot of decks that I love that people don't like, and I think there
Yeah,
are decks that other people love that I don't like my
totally.
little infamous little thing about old lady decks.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
And then this is the thing. So in thinking about asking you this,
Yeah.
uh, right now, like it literally just came to thought is quickly going through my mind, like what am I letting down the people that are viewing?
Yeah.
Am I not completing a commitment that I made? All those things. But I think just as important is showing that it's okay not to resonate with a deck and then
Mhm.
put it aside and pick up something else that you want to study.
Mhm.
And I also think what will happen is throughout this whole deck, I think we will both, I suspect, is be talking about the things that we don't like more than we talk about the
Totally.
things we really do like, which does
Totally.
such a disservice, I think, to this deck, the artist, and the people who love it.
I agree. Like, I
Okay,
don't want it to be just like a series of videos where we just bag on this deck, and it wouldn't be intentional.
no,
Like,
and
with that
then
part, but
I'd be measuring my words and what I want to say and how to say it so I don't offend anybody. So that's a lot of other stuff going on in the
yeah,
background, a lot of filtering that would be happening.
yeah.
So, so we're in agreement. We'll find another
Yes,
deck.
yes,
Yeah, I
please.
think also we'll be more excited. I think it'll come across better. I think people will be more engaged because who
Yeah.
wants to hear two people talking about something that is just okay?
And then also just complaining, right? Because
Uh,
like, I think you're right, that's what it would turn into, and that's not who I am, and that's also not how I want to spend my time. I don't find that particularly enjoyable to watch
yeah.
or to participate in. So I am 1000% in agreement with you. I say we wrap it up with these, and then yeah, and then we find something else.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Well, one, I'd like to know what y'all think about this and the things that we just talked about. Um, I'm really interested to see what you have to say, if you agree or disagree, but we're going to find another deck that is we find excited to talk about a little more. And watch us be surprised and not be as inspired as well. That would be
Oh my god,
horrible.
imagine we would just do this every time, make it through the majors, and then be like, "Man, I'm good."
But I'm also thinking with the next deck, we start with the minors and end with the majors.
Yeah, I'm good with whatever. Like, I
Yeah.
mean, the order for me is negotiable. I'm not picky.
Yeah. Well, we'll talk about it off camera and see what we decide. So
For
we'll
sure.
we'll we'll have a conversation.
Yeah.
But why don't we get to the tower card?
All right. You want to kick things off?
No, but I will.
I
I'm
can do it
kidding.
if you want. Okay,
I'm
the tower
kidding.
is destruction. Big changes. It's a card that I think like a lot of people, well, I can't speak to everybody. I think when I first started reading tarot, it was a card that made me nervous. I actually have a soft spot for this card now. Like tower moments suck for sure. They're terrible. They're the worst, but they do, in my experience, end up being a step towards something that will fulfill you more than wherever you are. It's just in the short term, there's going to be a
Uh-huh.
lot of upheaval and chaos and disorder. But I like what happens after this.
Well, I will tell you, and I was kidding, I was gonna go first.
Oh.
This is the first card so far that is not panned in, which I was very
Mhm.
surprised. I thought that they would probably show a window with maybe a part of a person falling down or
Yeah,
something to
yeah.
that effect with a lightning bolt, like the tip of a lightning bolt hitting it. That would have I felt would have felt like it fit in with the rest of the trumps. You know, I've
Mhm.
never called the major arcana the trumps until today. I don't know why I'm doing that now. It's like I'm learning new vocabulary. Um, but this is a great thing that I'm learning. I'm loving that we're doing this because I'm learning more nuances. So before this, that's how I saw this as a major shakeup. And for me, the nuance was that the shakeup isn't necessarily bad. And
Mhm.
an example I have of that is that you could be getting a promotion at work, and all of a sudden it's like this steep learning curve, and you're stressed and feeling overwhelmed, but you're getting through. And the
Mhm.
outcome is a positive one because you got a promotion. So but when I was doing my studies, doing my research, two things came up. One is I was thinking external shakeup, but this can be an internal shakeup. All of a sudden, like maybe a belief system is challenged, and you have an epiphany that changes your whole perspective, and
Mhm.
it's unsettling, and it goes against a lot of the things that you've done, and it even may go against like what the family believes or what society believes or what your friends believe.
Mhm.
For example, people who were very staunch against gay marriage, and then all of a
Mhm.
sudden they meet a couple and they experience what love looks like, and it turns out it's very similar, if not the same. And then
Mhm.
realizing that maybe that couple, all of a sudden, the partner isn't allowed to come in, like if the person's in a hospital and make decisions, even though they've been together for 30 years. And
Yeah.
all of a sudden, you realize that, and it changes your perspective, and it's very unsettling because now you're
Yeah.
having to face, a belief system that you've held your entire life that goes against what maybe your friends think as well. So I thought that was really, really cool. And
Yeah, and I was actually I can't even remember where I read it now, but one of the things that always stuck out to me, kind of connected to what you just said, is this like lightning bolt,
mm-hmm,
right? That it's sort of like piercing the veil of those illusions, of those
mm,
ideas that you've always had. It's piercing through those and kind of clarifying things. And sometimes, this is not like a gentle epiphany.
oh yeah,
This is it's not like a subtle like, oh, maybe this is some food for thought. No, this is an epiphany. It's by definition sudden and jarring, and it sort of shifts very dramatically how you view things, the perspective that you were talking about. So I like the tower card
yeah.
personally. I
And then
don't have an issue with it.
the other thing that came up was how the tower card allows for growth to happen by destroying what needs to be destroyed for new things to come up. Like, let's
Mhm.
say a forest fire, and then
Mhm.
new growth happens. But I thought that was really neat that it clears a path for you that you've been hesitant to do,
Mhm.
like being afraid to leave a really bad job. Um, and it's having a moment where you're let go, And then
Yeah,
you're forced to go find a new job and you find this amazing job that
yeah,
you never would have had you not been let go from a job you were afraid to leave. So
totally.
clearing a path. So I think of all the cards, this was the one that provided me with a lot more nuance in being
Mhm.
able to read and understand this card. And funny, I've had three people in the last week mention how they love this card. Two people said it's their favorite card. And one person was like, that's weird, right? And I'm like, no, my favorite card's the Five of Pentacles. But I get it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I can see why people would really like this card. I don't think it's a
I
scary.
well, and I'm like, so obviously not with my marriage because I love my husband and we are very committed to each other. But I like in general get bored really fast. Like if
Mm,
things stay the same for too long, I get real bored. Like I like I need change every so often. It's something that I find really generative. I find it to be something that's really like makes me it's very renewing for me, I guess is what I
mhm.
would say. And so I think that might also be part of why I do like the Tower card because there is that sense of renewal that you just talked about. Like, and yeah, there's a little bit of chaos, but you just move through the chaos and then like all of these new amazing things are in front of you and you grow, right? Like it kind of requires you to learn and grow new things. And I really appreciate this card for that.
Well, I am actually living through the Tower card right now.
Yeah, you're
I
moving.
am moving, and so it has been very overwhelming sometimes to the
Mhm.
point where I'm like, I can't do this. This is too much. I can't take it, and I want to quit, and I'll just stay here. And then, uh, and so I expressed this to my brother, and my brother was like, "But Benny, you deserve this." And then he started saying all these beautiful things,
Yeah.
which kind of leads into the star. He's
Mhm.
helping me bridge that gap between the star and this, and I'm like, that's right. The star's coming up. Okay.
It's so funny that you and I are both kind of like living through this right now. So
Oh,
like
that's
um
right. You
because
too.
you
We
guys
were just
you
talking
saw
about
what's
that. Oh
on
my God.
my file. So I didn't get fired from my job and I'm like not leaving teaching, but I am switching to like newish content area. So I'm going from English to history because I love history. That's my first love. And very, very different grade level. So like I have a bunch of changes about to happen as well. And I have these moments where and it was by choice too, right? So like this was a choice I made because of epiphanies that I had. But even still, even when it's a choice you're making, like yours is a choice too, right? To move. But
Yep.
even when you're making those choices, there are still those moments where you're like, what the hell was I thinking? Like,
Hmm.
I don't know if I can do this. It's nice to have someone like your brother or my husband who can kind of ground you and
Yeah.
remind you like it's you're doing this for a reason. You've never ever regretted doing things like this in the past, and sort of expressing that belief in you. I think it's important to have someone like that when you are going through something like this. So for
Yes.
me, when this card comes up, I almost feel like it's also to me like a sign that whatever's going on or whatever's coming up, I really need to turn to my support systems because even if it's a change you're choosing, it's still a big change.
Yeah.
And
It's gonna be
you need
uncomfortable.
those support systems. It's going to be uncomfortable, so find people who can remind you that it's okay to be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
That you can lean on when you have those moments of like, what was I thinking?
So, and I'm sitting here thinking, one of the really cool things about studying the deck, especially with somebody else, is that you can relate it to what's going on in your life today. And
Totally.
so this card will always remind me about this transition that I'm making from one home
Yeah,
to another. And so
totally.
and what that feels like. So
Mhm.
this is a good card. But yeah, very, very cool. All right. So I will start with the star. Okay. So the star. There is so much.
We need to be recording again. Oh, we're in
We're
the
recording.
recording. Okay, we're
Yeah.
good. Okay. Well,
So there is so much missing in the star card for me because, I'm doing my research and like the Wolf. No, no, no. The I'm thinking of the moon. So the star card for me kind of means hope. This idea. When I think of the star card, you know what comes up for me is the North Star. The star that is going to lead you back home, that's going to lead you to where you want to go. This sense of being lost to wanting to be found, like from the tower to this. This is like, I read, I don't know who said it. I don't know if it was Benuel Ben. I think it was Benuel Ben. Called it the wish card, or maybe it was Rachel Pollack, but called it the wish card. And I thought that was really, really interesting. Wish upon a star, and that things will happen. It's like the hope card overall for
Mm-hmm.
me. The
Mm-hmm.
things that things will get better. How do you see it?
I mean, exactly the same.
Okay.
Uh, yeah, exactly the same. It's that sort of guiding light. Um, I can't add anything that you haven't already said, so I'll just say same. Exactly the same things you just said.
Like there was this oh, what card was it? It's that, remember when I was talking about that, I think it was the devil, that it's the moment when hope is about to happen, that realization, where it's that moment when denial kind of falls through and you see.
Yeah, yeah,
Similar. It's the moment right after you hit rock bottom, like when your body hits the ground, falling out of the tower, and you stand up. It's that moment of standing up that the star kind of represents for me.
yeah,
Okay, I can move forward from here. The worst part is over. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Um, in this iteration, there's like a little UFO.
I was just gonna ask you, what do you think about the UFO?
Um, it's weird and out of place to me for this card. Like I don't know really how that connects with my understanding of this card. What about you? Did you make any notes about it?
This is the thing with this one and the moon with the rocket ship.
It's just decorative.
Yeah, and for me, my mind was like, well, it's there for a reason, though. Otherwise, why is it there? It has to represent something. And you know what? I forgot to look at the book to see if the book said
I know. I'm
anything
looking
about
right
it.
now. I was like, is
Oh
it?
my God, I can't believe I forgot to look at the book. And I don't know why I didn't look at the book this time around, which is funny because I always do look at the
It's
book.
not saying anything at all about the little. Okay, wait. Maybe this. We all have our own North Star inside that allows us to course correct when we may feel a little bit lost. Don't
Ah,
forget. So I wonder if that's what this
do,
little guy is
do
here.
you re oh, now this card, oh my God, that little entry alone created, did you ever see, I'm dating myself, guys. Did you ever see Lost in Space?
The original? Yeah, of
Yeah.
course. Grew up.
So, their whole goal is to find their way back home when they're lost.
Hmm.
And so this idea of the hope that you will find your home, and so you're going through, the galaxies to find your way back. Okay, that gives it purpose. But I'm finding that these two images, I was trying to force it to have meaning when I don't know if
Hmm.
it really did. It made me, because my brain is like, it's there for a reason, Benny. So you need to give it a meaning.
I mean,
And
yeah.
so
I will be honest though, dude, the face. I cannot. I cannot with the face.
I love the face.
I cannot with the face.
I love the face.
I it's like, okay, have you ever seen like on Instagram, well, I'm sure everybody's seen these, where it's like occasionally these dogs will pop up and they have like very human looking eyes. Like it's
Oh,
kind of unsettling. Have you ever
yeah,
have you ever seen those videos?
yeah.
This is giving me that. Like it's very realistic to the point where it's a little bit unsettling
You know what I
to me.
noticed about the face more than anything else is the
The lip.
voluptuous lips.
I
And that for me cracks me up. This card makes me laugh, and it's because these lips are just like pumped for days.
I mean, he got fillers, let's be honest.
but I do like the image. I do like the face. It cracks me up.
Yeah. The thing that I do love about this deck are the colors.
Oh
Like
yeah, the
the
colors are
colors are
amazing.
really beautiful. And I do feel like the artwork itself is gorgeous. It's just yeah, not for me, but it is beautiful, objectively beautiful artwork, I think.
Of the
And
three
like I
face of the three faces, the moon is my favorite. Is it your least favorite?
no, okay, funny thing.
Oh,
So it's the end of the year and we're getting ready to move into like all of the standardized testing. So between now and the end of May, I have 3 weeks of standardized tests in English. And my poor students are like already, this is the look that I get from them when I remind them that we have 3 weeks of testing coming up. It's just like kind of like dissociating, but also, why are you doing this to us? And look, it's very familiar to me.
okay. What do you think of the card?
Again, I think the artwork is beautiful.
Oh yeah.
But do you, in terms of like how I tend to interpret it? Yeah. So for me, I tend to think of this in terms of like kind of illusions, intuition, anxieties, and sort of it to me. It's like it's sort of like it's a nudge or a poke to kind of think about maybe what you aren't seeing, right? Like use your intuition to tap into maybe what you aren't seeing or what is obscured or hidden from you. And I don't think that this is just like external. I think it's also internal. Like what illusions have you been sort of carrying and creating? So for
Now,
me, that's this card.
yeah, very different. This intuition is different than, let's say, the high priestess. This
Mm-hmm.
one deals, I think, more with um, kind of a more of a listen to your internal warning signs.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like walking down a street you normally walk, but for some reason something's telling you something's off. Or
Mm-hmm.
there's a story on Oprah Winfrey of a woman pulling up to her driveway and something was off and something was telling her not to get out of her car. But she was like, no, you're being silly. She got her out of her car and it was either her husband or her ex-husband. I don't remember if they were still married or not. Came out and brutally attacked her. And so it's this thing for me, this kind of intuition is this internal warning sign that, be more mindful, be aware of your surroundings, or careful about this particular person or this decision or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
It's more of a like, okay, you gotta, a yellow light comes on and, it could
Yeah.
turn red if you're not careful. But it's missing the several elements. It's missing the lobster, the wolf, and the dog, and then of course the two towers. And so for the dog and the wolf, those as I do my research and I get is the wolf is more the instinctual part of who we are, that basic animalistic, survival kind of animal, and then the dog represents this domesticated kind of person who we show outside to the world. And when I was reading about the crab, it talked about, and I'm curious for your opinion about these underlying unconscious things that kind of come up a little bit and then you push them back down, like maybe bad
Mm-hmm.
memories that you don't want to remember. So you push them back down. All of a sudden, they may come up as nightmares and stuff. What's your take on the crab, or do you even have the crab, the lobster, or do you have any at all?
Yeah. I'm trying to remember what I have read about it. And I think if I remember right, like I think one of the sort of traditional meanings of that is sort of like sort of almost like this primordial moment of like kind of emerging from like the subconscious
Mm,
mind.
okay.
Um, to be honest with you though, when I draw this card, like I don't really pay much attention to the little lobster creature.
Oh.
Like I'll occasionally think about like the wolf and the dog, or like the two towers sometimes are things that stand out to me. But I very, very rarely actually feel drawn to that little
That's
lobster dude.
interesting. That's interesting. I
Yeah.
wonder how many other people kind of don't mess with the lobster. Maybe
I
because it's,
don't know why. It's not a conscious choice that I make, because
yeah,
usually it's just, okay, what's standing out to me today and what is that giving me and kind of helping me think about. And as I think about it, like I don't think I've ever really felt pulled to focus on the little lobster. Now watch it change though. Since we've talked about it,
yeah,
watch that's gonna start happening.
yeah. So, and I'm finding that my one of the concerns that I'm having for me, like with this particular card, is there's so much information in there. As if I pull it up in a reading, will it be convoluted because I got so much information and I haven't used the card enough in readings to kind of hone it in for myself to what it means for me?
Mhm.
Uh, or will I know automatically like what the card means based on the question, the day, what I feel, my intuition? So
Mhm.
that's one of the things that I'm really interested to see what happens. But
Yeah.
my favorite phase, but I just feel that this card has it's missing too much for me.
Yeah. I imagine you feel the same about our next card too. The sun.
Okay.
Missing things
Yeah.
for you, I'm assuming. Yeah.
And this is one of the, so I would ask, why not have the child on here since it's a prominent image in the original sun card, but also why these flowers are not sunflowers?
Yeah. What kind
Because
of flowers are these?
um,
Does it say in the guidebook? Let's see.
the
The sun. Sun. Um, no. It just gives, normal keywords: happy, joyful, positive, aware, new beginnings, new day, always start fresh, always new beginnings are always at hand, but it doesn't say anything about the flowers.
yeah, so as much as I don't like sunflowers, I feel like I'm missing them here.
Mm,
But when it comes to the actual card, I do, it's for me, it's like coming out of hibernation. All of a sudden you come out and you feel the world and everything feels new and fresh. It's like winter has happened and then all of a sudden you get that day that you know winter has happened,
yeah.
spring and alive and so
If you're skin, oh, those are the best days.
yeah. And one of the interesting things that I read about this card is this idea that it illuminates those dark crevices that the moon has. So like you're walking down an alleyway, it's really scary, and so you're cautious as you go through. But during the day, you go through that same alleyway, and it's like, oh, no big deal. It's actually, and you walk confidently down that alleyway, knowing that you're safe. Um,
Hmm.
when this comes up in a reading, how do you read this one?
Happiness,
Happy.
joy,
Yeah.
um, sort of unfettered joy, right? It's like,
Oh, I love that.
so as much as I don't love the creepy baby on the sun card, like, and actually I have it right here, like the way that this child is like flinging its arms out, like completely free, unburdened. um I love that, that feeling of, like I said, unfettered joy, untethered happiness, like
Yeah.
the bad, all of those things that you've gone through, those are not weighing you down right now. You are just feeling that sun on your skin. You are just happy. And you have earned this moment of like freedom and joy.
Yeah, childlike joy, just
Yeah.
totally en embracing the moment. I'm in my mind, I'm having two images. Walking into Peter Piper's Pizza, where they have all the 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 play area there the kids can just run to, and they're just or at a water park where you tell the kid, "Okay, you can go," and they run off as fast as they
Yeah.
can. That's what I see.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
I think these is like good things are happening or good things are about to happen. You've turned a corner. The worst is behind you. Um, there's a great sense of liberation maybe with this. So that's how I tend to read the Sun card.
Yeah. Yep. Very similar.
Yeah. For me, it's like when I notice it's such a beautiful day, the weather is right, the trees are green, you know, it's that moment for me, this card. Like I love my job, I love my life, I love my friends.
Yeah, it's that moment where you're like, you're like, man, my life is amazing. It's that moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how I read that.
All right. Judgment.
Okay. Remember, I think with Justice and Judgment, I had talked about for this. Well, let me talk about the card first. Actually, I think this is a really good depiction of Judgment. It has everything that I need. It has the
Hmm.
wing of the angel. It has a trumpet. It Interesting how he shows the people coming out of the grave from coming out of the coffin. I thought that was really, really smart. I really, really liked that a lot. And so this is about that moment where you have to look within and look at all your life choices, the things you've done, accept where you're at, the kind of person you are, and then after that, analyzing, is this the person you want to be? You have to answer to yourself and make decisions on how you want to like move forward from there.
Hmm.
What do you think?
Yeah. Every time I see this card, that song that was like viral on TikTok, like level up, level up, level up, level up, level up.
No, I don't know it.
That's what I hear in my head every time I see this card. Anybody else? Is it just me? Comment below.
It's probably just you.
It's probably just me. It usually is.
This is like
Um,
the rebirth card. Rebirth,
yeah.
I think I read that a lot. Rebirth.
But for me, it's also like it's like a call, right? It's like a call that you are meant for something more, and this is your moment to really step up. That's another sort of way that I tend to kind of look at this card. A cosmic level up, if you will.
Yeah.
But I mean, I like
What do you think about the handle with the crossbones right at the bottom?
I mean, I think this is just meant to be a coffin.
Okay, so you don't see much in the handle with the crossbones?
No, I was just thinking it's a coffin, and that the
Okay.
skull and crossbones is basically meant to signify, like, rising from the dead, like rising from the ashes, like Judgment Day in the Bible.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Did you make something of that?
Uh, well, it's that moment. I don't know why I keep getting this image of the snake shedding its skin, which has nothing to do with this, but it's just a sense of coming,
I think it does.
being renewed. Um,
Hmm.
you know, Also spiritual awakening,
Hmm.
because you're really having to look at yourself in the mirror and,
Yeah.
take a hard look. So, uh, yeah, just coming out from where you were to who you want to be, rebirth.
Yeah. It's a good depiction. I do like this depiction of it because, like you said, it
I
has
think this is my
everything.
favorite one. Let me look at real quick at my because I'm still doing my journal.
Oh, I love it.
And let me see. I think that's my favorite one. Yeah. The only other one that I would say is up there is the strength card. But yeah, this is by far my favorite one. Um,
Yeah.
uh, how the image is depicted. I could
Yeah. It's a
do,
good one.
like if I didn't
It's
have judgment here, I would know this was judgment.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So what do
All
you
right.
think of the world?
Why a ballerina? Why? Why I don't
Well,
the only thing in here, okay, I see the elemental like symbols and I see like the wreath, that you traditionally see in the world card. Um, but the ballerina, I don't I
I
don't
I have an idea.
yeah.
Is becoming a ballerina is a daunting endeavor. And
So
getting to a point where you can stand on your tippy toes, I think is a
oh.
huge accomplishment. Uh, and so it's this thing that you've worked for so many years, and now you can call yourself a ballerina.
Mhm.
And it's such a big, big accomplishment. I think that's how I see this.
Mhm.
Um, and being able to like step on, like, how many people can actually do that? And the people that did, I mean, they don't do that overnight. It takes a long time to get to this place.
Yeah.
What do you think of that?
Well, here's I like that a lot. Here's what the guidebook says because I was curious if the creator addresses it. The world is the card of fulfillment and wholeness. Its appearance in our reading reminds us that when we fully embrace the whole, we can enter the flow of life like a dancer who becomes one with the music.
Okay,
Um, I mean,
I like mine better.
yeah, I agree. That
I don't mean to be
yeah.
egotistical, but
No,
that's
but
what
I mean,
makes so that makes but it
makes sense.
makes sense to me.
Totally. Well, because honestly, like this card for me is an ending, but it's also it's also kind of a beginning too, right? Because you're like, yes, you're at the end of this cycle, but you're going to go right back to the beginning of another cycle.
So it's like this moment for a ballerina where she's officially considered a ballerina, like a performing ballerina. And now she's going to be taking the step into performance, getting hired, learning how to do a ballet, being a part of a ballet, and that whole cycle of now learning how to be the performer in a ballet. And then once that happens, they're in the background, then slowly they become, what is it
Mm-hmm.
called when they're
Prima,
the
a prima
leading
donna,
ballerina?
or the principal.
Okay, there you go. Yeah. So that's yeah, yeah. Until
Yeah,
I had to think about that, and so now that it makes sense why it's the ballerina for me, um, and so I could see that very clearly. Um, but it is a full circle moment for me, a moment where everything you've done and gone through has come to fruition. You know,
yeah,
kind of standing
yeah,
tall.
yeah, for sure. I well, we did it.
Yeah.
We did it. Um, it's interesting.
Overall,
It's
overall,
interesting to me that the tower is the only card that isn't zoomed in. And I was flipping through the rest of the deck. I don't think there are any other cards that are zoomed out except for the tower,
no, they're not. Everything
which is
else is
interesting.
zoomed in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very interesting.
Yeah, I'm going through my journal. Yeah, all of them. I will say that I love the Joker card. I mean the Fool card. I love the Fool card. I really do.
Yeah. I've been watching Criminal Minds, rewatching Criminal Minds,
Uh-huh.
and I had to. I actually do appreciate I do appreciate the Fool more after like our initial conversation about it in this deck.
I
But now I just have to
laugh.
make a joke of the eyes. Now I just have to joke about it.
Yeah, this. It does feel like a sinister fool, and I really do like the magician. And then let's see what other card.
Going back through.
I do like strength. There are only really two cards I feel I dislike because they don't resonate. Well, actually, that's not true. Because the ballerina, I would say, would be one of them, the world, but not anymore after working with it. The one that just doesn't sit well overall is the Wheel of Fortune for me. It just
Mm,
feels so. It just doesn't represent the card for me
yeah.
overall. I get the idea of it. I really do. But the fact that I
I
don't have
think,
very much written.
yeah. I think for me, the cards I like the High Priestess and the
Yeah.
Empress. Those are both lovely. Um, I do like the Strength card. I think that one's cool. I still think that the Death card is absolutely beautiful. Like the artwork in the Death card is
Yeah.
just gorgeous. But that would be it for me. I don't
So
dislike I don't like the foot card. I mean, truthfully, I just don't like the foot card.
I like I do. I like the idea that that is because that's where, for me, the tension lies in the whole card, and I can see this part of the person trying to stay calm and relax, but also having a hard time trying not to fight because one foot is very relaxed, the other foot is like tense. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so I like the concept of the card quite a bit, actually.
Yeah. And I'm with you. I also don't like the Wheel of Fortune card. I
It
don't.
just throws. I don't. That's the one card that the coloring kind of feels off. I think it's
Yeah.
mainly the hat for me.
Yeah.
I think it's mainly the
Yeah.
hat.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, like I said, like we said at the beginning, like I think it's awesome that so many people have connected with this deck. And that's the cool thing about there being so many decks is that there's
Yeah.
bound to be something for everybody. This one is just, it's not for me. And I'm good with it.
I do find I do. Oh, I packed a lot of my decks up because of
Oh, yeah. 'Cause moving.
yeah.
When is moving day for you? Like, when is official moving day?
So I close on May 15th, but I don't move in till July 1st.
Oh, okay, that's right. That's right.
Yeah, because the it either one of the spouses is graduating
Okay.
from dental school, and their last class is June 31st,
Hmm.
and then they have to move. And they have to move out, and so I'm like, oh. So I'm thinking of giving them maybe an extra day or two
For
because
sure.
if their last class is the 31st, that's going to be a lot of stress. So I'm sure they'll
Yeah.
already be packed and everything, but when I close on the 15th, I'll
Give them a little grace because
yeah,
Lord knows
because
moving.
I wouldn't want to be that stressed.
Totally.
And they're still going to be
Totally.
stressed no matter what. But the decks, like, there's so many decks, going back to your point of people loving this deck, that it is so interesting to see people's, like, when there's a hashtag like their top favorite decks, or, you know, I did the ones the ones you would say from a fire. It's so interesting to see what people value when it comes to their decks.
Hmm.
Some of them I'm like, oh yeah, yeah, that one. Other ones I'm like, really? And I'm sure
Yeah.
people think the exact same thing about me. So with this deck, it's the same thing. You
Yeah.
know, not everybody's gonna love it.
Totally. Yeah. And I mean, I'm trying to think too, like, I'm usually pretty good about rehoming decks that I'm not super connected to. Um, but yeah, I don't tend to buy decks that I'm not reasonably certain I'll connect to. Like I'm
Yeah.
trying to be really deliberate about what I buy. And at the very least, I thought this one would be interesting. But yeah, for me, just not a hit.
Yeah,
Yeah, not a hit.
and that's okay. Uh, I'll be rehoming this one for sure because I want somebody who's gonna want to use it and appreciate it.
Totally.
To have it.
Totally. Yeah.
So now it's about figuring out what other deck we're going to end up studying. Uh,
Yeah.
so we got to figure out what decks we have.
Yeah.
Um,
In common.
yeah, that we both like.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. I have a few ideas. I have some ideas,
I
some
have one
suggestions.
idea, but we'll see.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll discuss off camera and then you'll all find out what it
Yeah,
is
and
when
then
we meet the
another announcement will be made.
Yes, 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 for sure.
Okay. Well, everybody, my name is Benny. This is Kelsey. Thank you very much for joining us. Until next time, have a great day. Bye, guys.
Bye.